content I looked at was Chandler Ainsley.
So I really enjoyed The Last Thing He Told Me.
And I love her channel. We have complete opposite tastes. I know if Chandler loves a book, I probably won't like it. And vice versa. If I love a book, Chandler will probably hate it. But I love her hair. She has the most beautiful hair. And sometimes we do have an overlap. But our taste, particularly in romance, tends to be really different. She tends to like, I don't know. She doesn't like a lot of, she hated beach read. And that is when I knew we weren't going to have the same taste. But I like her videos anyway. And so the book I'm reading from hers is The Last Thing He Told Me, which is a mystery, maybe it's a thriller. I know it's a mystery, but I think it's not really a thriller, and I think sometimes it's advertised as a thriller, and if I remember correctly, Chandler said that it is like kind of a little bit more slow, more like a mystery. It's Laura Dave. I know nothing about it except it takes place in Texas, which is one of the reasons Chandler liked it, is because Chandler lives in Texas. And I really like Texas. I've been there quite a few times, and it's a good time. So I'm excited to read this. I know nothing else about it.
And then finally we have number 1, and that is Memorial by Brian Washington.
Next is Uncarley. I adore Uncarley. I wish I was as cool as Uncarley. Uncarley and I have very dissimilar reading taste, but I adore Carly. She's great. She reads a lot more like, she's a Sally Rooney girly. Like if I were going to pick a Sally Rooney girly, it would be Uncarley. And I read Normal People, and I thought it was fine. And that's all the Sally Rooney I've read. I also love a book with plot, love a fantasy book, and she's like not into that. But her favorite book from this past year was Memorial by Brian Washington. She recommends it in like almost every video she records. I don't know what it's about. Oh yes I do. It's about like this man who has to live with his mother-in-law, and while his husband is in Japan. So that's what it's about. That was probably a great synopsis. So excited to see what I think about Uncarley's favorite, Memorial.
This one is Piranesi. What a strange, peculiar, and singular book this is.
And then finally, I thought that was going to be it. But then Jack Edwards came out with his favorite books of the year. And I couldn't leave him out. He's moved to Paris, which is like very exciting for him. And he did not rank his favorites. So I picked one that he seemed the most enthused about. He, like Carly, reads a lot of like smart people books, which I love for him. He doesn't read fantasy books, but he does love a Taylor Jenkins read. Out of all of the favorite videos I've watched, Jack Edwards and I actually had the most overlaps in favorites. So there is that. But one of his favorite books was Piranesi, whose author I didn't write down, but I will be reading Piranesi, and I will probably read the ebook of that, so I don't have a physical book here. But that is what we're reading for this video. Looking forward to it. We'll keep you updated. Look, I match this book. I'm 38 pages into this book, and I hate it. This book. It's so boring. Nothing is happening. It's giving me Big House of Leaves vibes. And we all know how I felt about House of Leaves, which was not great. Not great at all. But I'm going to persist. Okay. Hi, I just wanted to do an update on my reading. I read a lot this weekend. It was like very snowy, like good reading weather. And I actually finished Piranesi. Is that how you say that? I don't know. I'm glad I finished. I think my last update was me whispering because it was the middle of the night, being like, I want to not finish this book. And then I went on Goodreads like you do, and they were like, you have to stick it out for the first like 50 pages. Some of them said 100 pages, and the plot really starts. I found on page like the 40 to 50 page range, we started like getting a plot that I was invested in, and then from there I was able to like keep reading. you know, that's my favorite thing in a 250-page book, like, to get to page 50 before I was like, And it was not like I was just, like, confused. It was just, like, extraordinarily bored. It felt in a lot of ways like House of Leaves, except House of Leaves never really developed a point. Piranesi did develop a point eventually, so that is to its benefit. I didn't hate it. I would probably give it, like, 3 stars. I just didn't, like, love it. I didn't totally understand it. I don't get the hype. To me, it's a book that I will almost certainly forget within a few days. And maybe I'm just, like, dumb and didn't get, like, the message, but it wasn't for me. It reminded me a lot of Erin Morgenstern's Starless Sea. So if you were a big fan of that book, maybe you'll really dig Piranesi. I know a lot of people have loved it. I have had, so I'm reading it because it's a Jack Edwards favorite from last year, but I have, like, people in my real life who also were like, this book was great. And I just, like, don't understand. And people don't really talk a lot about it because they're like, oh, you should go in blind. Like, that's for the best. Because there's, like, twists and turns that happen. But I just need someone to explain, like, full spoilers why they loved this book. Anyway, in better news, I'm currently reading Memorial by Brian Washington. I'm on page 157. I just recently switched from perspective. So the first, like, 130 pages are from Benson's perspective, and then we've switched to Mike's perspective. So the basic premise of this story is that Benson and Mike are a couple. They've lived together. They've been together for, like, 4 years, and Mike's mother is coming to stay in town with them. She lives in Japan. He's Japanese, and she's from Japan, and then, like, moved here when Mike was a kid, and he grew up in America, but, like, she lived in Japan as a young person and then moved back there once Mike was, like, a teen or an adult. I'm not clear. And so Mike's mother is staying with Benson, and Mike flew to Japan because his dad has, like, recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And so he's going out to see his dad, and then his, like, long-term boyfriend is staying with his mom. And I truly thought I was going to hate this book. I'm going to be very real. I opened it up and realized our guy, Brian Washington, does not use quotation marks. And, like, I know that Uncarley is a Sally Rooney girly, and Sally Rooney is, like, notorious for not using quotation marks. And I've read Normal People by Sally Rooney, and I don't think I had a huge problem with it. I tried to read Severance by Ling Ma, and the lack of quotation marks did confuse me in that book. In this book, it feels necessary. I haven't read Sally Rooney in a long time. I read Normal People, like, 2 years ago, so I don't fully remember. Conversations with Friends is on my to-read list, but this book, like, I think quotation marks would have made it worse. Like, sometimes the pages are laid out. It's almost, I mean, it's not. It's written in normal prose, but it almost feels like sometimes, like, we get these sections, and they're almost laid out like a poem. And there's a certain level of, like, poetry that I think quotation marks would have ruined in the way this book is written. And so I kind of appreciate the lack of quotation marks. I'm a converted girl. I didn't think you would catch me talking about how I didn't want quotation marks, but I do think Brian Washington does it really well. Overall, I've, like, loved this book so far. It has been great. Loved it. Truly, really, truly enjoyed it so far. I was kind of bummed when we switched perspectives. We're now in Mike's perspective. But I was like, and so I'm kind of sad because now we're with Mike and we're kind of learning a little bit more about Mike's relationship with his father and kind of what his time in Japan has looked like, and also what his relationship looks like from his perspective, because a lot of the book is, like, reflecting on their relationship. But I've, like, loved this book so far, which was a surprise to me. I didn't think this book would be for me, but so far I've really enjoyed it. We'll probably finish it today, and we'll keep you posted. Okay, how do people film in their cars? The lighting is unhinged. I'm trying to be like, hello, light my face. Don't worry about the outside world. And they're like, nope. We only care about the outside world. Okay. That helped. Now I'm, like, super dark. Anyway, we're filming my car. And it's very dark. And I can't help you. It is what it is. But, I wanted to recap the Booktuber books I read this for this thing. So I don't think I even gave you an update on me finishing Memorial. I have them in a bag next to me because they're going to go back to the library after this. We're in the Lowe's parking lot now, though. Hello? Pick me, choose me, love me. Okay, so that's what we're going to have to do. So I finished Memorial. My overall thoughts. I finished Memorial and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed the writing, actually. I was surprised. As I talked about, it doesn't have quotation marks, and so I was like, what am I supposed to do? But I actually really wound up enjoying the writing. I think it was a 4-star for me, though. Would you switch? It's kind of told in 3 parts. The first part and the last part are from Mike's perspective, and the middle part is from Benson. And actually, I might have that backwards. I think the first and the last are from Benson's, and then first and last are from Benson's perspective, and the middle is from Mike. And so when we switched to Mike, it took me like a long time to get attached to him. I love Benson. I still prefer Benson's writing. His perspective was more interesting. He was the one that was back in the States with his boyfriend's mom. But we kind of learn more about their relationship as the novel progresses, especially kind of in Mike and Benson's second section. And I don't know, it was really good. I thought it was beautifully written. I really liked the ending. It was good. I had a good time. I was kind of surprised that I liked it. I liked it the same amount I like Sally Rooney, though, where I'm like, I could take it or leave it. I feel like a lot of people are like hate it or love it. When it comes to Sally Rooney, I've only read Normal People, but I gave Normal People 4 stars as well. Similar vibes. And then for the biggest shocker, I read The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and this was Chandler Ainsley. This was Chandler Ainsley's, one of her favorite books from last year, and I loved this book. Chandler and I have very, very opposite tastes, and so I thought I was going to hate this book, but I wound up really enjoying it. I think maybe because it was a thriller. It wasn't really a thriller. It was sort of a mystery. I also think I had the appropriate expectations. I think this was advertised as a thriller. And I think if you go in thinking you're going to get a super fast-paced thriller, you're going to be disappointed because it is kind of a slower burn book where you're trying to kind of unpack a mystery. Yeah, you're trying to unpack a mystery, but it's not like you're like edge of your seat the whole time. But I thought it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was so well done. It felt very different. It felt like something I hadn't read. I've kind of fallen out of the habit of reading thrillers because I find that they really, if you've read several, you've read most of them, and like part of the fun of a thriller is kind of the twist, and I felt like this one had good twists, but it also had like a really compelling story, and I loved it, and that was a surprise. I gave that one 5 stars. Like, it made me cry. I really got emotionally attached to the characters, but also I was like very intrigued by the mystery. I liked how it wrapped up. Overall, big fan. My favorite book was Chanel Miller's Know My Name, which was Noelle Gallagher's favorite book of 2021. That was far and above my favorite. That was like a 5-star favorite. I kind of expected it to be a favorite, but it truly was beautifully written in a way I wasn't anticipating. Loved it. And then after that would be Chandler Ainsley. What a surprise! With The Last Thing He Told Me by Lauren Dave. Before that, it would probably be One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, which was Cindy's favorite book. Then A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which was Katie Colson's favorite book. Then Memorial by Brian Washington, which was Carly's favorite book from Uncarley. Then Piranesi, which is Jack Edwards' favorite book from 2021, one of his favorites. And then finally House of Leaves, which I actually despised. So out of these 7 books that I read, 5 of them I gave 4 or 5 stars to, which is like pretty good. That's like a pretty good ratio. I didn't love Piranesi, and I hated House of Leaves. So those were my thoughts on Booktuber favorite books from 2021. There was definitely a lot of hits. Several misses, but definitely a lot of hits. But there's more fun stuff coming this month. This vlog is late because my weekend got really busy, so you're seeing this late. So I think based on my plans, I should have a new video this week as well as next week. So subscribe if you're so inclined. We'd love to have you around for all the sorts of fun shenanigans we're gonna get up to. Okay, I'm looking like everywhere but the camera. That's probably a poor choice. Maybe this is why I should film in the car, besides the lighting, which is now seeming like maybe okay. But I also am just watching cars instead of watching here, because I'm facing vehicles driving by who probably think I'm crazy. So fun and fresh. Okay, bye.